Welcome to Unmuted Love, the podcast for parents raising children from difficult places who sometimes feel like they're drowning with their hair on fire. I'm C. Eshelman, your host, and I want to put some focus today on when your child's anger feels like a personal attack, so you can understand how something called narcissistic wounding gets triggered in parents of traumatized kids. Let's be honest, which I always try to be here. Parenting a child from difficult beginnings is not for the faint of heart. No way, no how. You know this through and through, as I do. There are days when your child's rage, rejection, or cruel words hit you square in the stomach like a fist hitting you. Not metaphorically, but literally, like physically. You can feel it land, boom. And no amount of parenting books, no amount of training or Pinterest quotes prepares you for that punch. And suddenly you're spinning, reeling, feeling horrible, betrayed, maybe ashamed, and usually furious. Big, big emotions, kind of like your kids, all at once. That's your nervous system throwing you back into old history. It's not just frustration as a parent in the present. It's your own narcissistic wounding from childhood hurts. Those tender, unhealed places getting punched by your child's trauma behaviors. So what the heck is this thing called narcissistic wounding anyway? It sure sounds like something you don't want, right? Well, it doesn't mean you're the popular definition of a narcissist. It doesn't mean that at all, no. It's a clinical term. It is what happens when, as a child, you experience deep shame, rejection, abuse, or emotional abandonment during critical moments of your own development. Here are a few examples you might be able to relate to if you have narcissistic wounds. I sure have a few. When your parent flew into a rage because you were crying loud in public, you might have heard something like, "You better shut that down, mister, before I give you something to cry about." Now, we all joke about that sentence, but most of us who are of my age anyway actually heard that, and I've heard it echoed in grocery stores around recently, so I know it's still in our worldview. Or when your mom emotionally withdrew herself and her affection when you disappointed her. Maybe a time when your dad shamed you for anything less than perfection on your report card. When you were made responsible for an adult's emotions, you might have heard something like, "You make me so furious." Or worse, a parent may have told you, "I wouldn't drink so much if you would just do what you're supposed to do. You drive me to drink." Those moments, over and over, taught your little brain it is dangerous to be vulnerable. And so you learn to wall up, shape-shift, perform, or shrink yourself into being good enough. The problem then, those wounds don't just disappear when you grow up. They hide under the surface, fragile, waiting for someone, or in this case, your child, to bump into them, and bump into them hard they do. And here's the kicker. Your child with their own trauma story is an expert at bumping into them, not on purpose, but because their survival brain behaves in ways that mirror the very dynamics that created your wounds in the first place. It's very ouchy stuff. Deep down inside, it hurts a lot. Okay, let me make this a little more practical. Here are some real life triggers. See if any of these sound familiar to you. Your 8-year-old screams, "You're a terrible mom. I hate you. You never loved me." Inside, your wounded part whispers, "See, I'm not lovable. Even my own kid thinks so." Or your 11-year-old stonewalls, goes cold and ignores you after you set a very reasonable limit. The wound you carry might feel like this. "This kid is so cold and immovable. She's never going to love me. I'll never get the love I need." Or your 9-year-old daughter mocks your attempt to comfort her with what seems like a smug grin, laughs in your face when you offer a hug. The wounded part of you might feel, "I never should have been vulnerable. I'm never going to do that again." You might even get blaming and say, "She doesn't deserve me." Or maybe a 16-year-old constantly accuses you, "You don't care. You never cared about me. I can't wait to get out of here." The wounded part of you may feel like, no matter how hard I try, I'm never enough. I wasn't enough for my parents, and I'm not enough here either. Does any of this sound familiar? With a slight shift or a slight change or a little bit different sentence, but it still goes on inside you? It does to me. Again, I had a constant whisper in my ear, "You don't know how to love." Because my kids, when they were young, rejected most of my attempts, that whisper went on and on and on. Yeah, these moments weren't about my worth as a parent, and they aren't about yours either. They are echoes. Your child's trauma behavior rubbing against your own early childhood wounding. It feels personal, but it isn't. It's kind of like, I don't know, something like neurobiological deja vu. I know, I don't believe in that either, but it kind of feels like it. I once worked with a mom who, whenever her daughter ignored her, would spiral into anxiety. So powerful, she couldn't sleep. She cleaned the whole house at midnight. She didn't know why. Silence gutted her until she remembered. As a child, her own mother went days without speaking to her after really small mistakes she might have made. That old wound had been reactivated. Once she named it, the midnight cleaning marathons slowed up until they were completely stopped. She could soothe herself instead of scrubbing the grout. So parents, here's where hope comes in. When you can name what is happening this way, you can name it like this. Oh, this isn't actually about my kid right now. This is about my old wound. You can create space to choose a different response. Of course, you'll first need to regulate and be in a safe space to do some vulnerable remembering. Still, a pause to breathe. That's golden. That's you reclaiming your nervous system. Stop, step back, breathe. Sometimes I would say that mantra to myself. Stop, don't speak, breathe, because I had a habit of getting dysregulated and speaking, and it would always come out in a very negative way toward my children because my narcissistic wound had been triggered, and then out my mouth would come something equally painful toward my children. And that just isn't okay. It's abusive, and I needed to stop it. And the only way I could do it in the moment was to stop. I literally would sometimes put my hand over my mouth to keep myself from talking. And then I would just take some deep regulating breaths until I actually calmed down. Here's a little practice I give parents. Number 1, notice the nervous system activation. Feel the heat in your face, the sting in your chest. That's you getting activated. Sometimes my ears get really hot. Name the wound. Gently say to yourself, oh, this is my old story of unworthiness being triggered, or whatever it is for you. Ground yourself in the present. Continue to breathe. Look around, remind yourself, I'm not that little child anymore. I'm a wise, compassionate parent now. Once regulated and self-soothed, attune again to your child. Look at your child's need under the behavior. Regulation, safety, connection. That's what they always need, even if they don't seem like they want it. This doesn't mean you tolerate abuse. Boundaries still matter. But you parent from the wise adult, not the wounded child. I know some of you have children that can't respect a boundary around lashing out, striking out, or flying out. And we will talk about dealing with that in another episode because I know that plagues a lot of people. Because you deserve to hold a boundary, set limits, and take yourself to safety. And you also need some tools to know how to deal with children who can't right now respect your boundaries or your limits. Here again are a few everyday tools to put in your toolbox. Mantra tool. Pick a grounding phrase, something like, this is not about me, it's around me. Or, I'm safe now, I'm okay. Reset your body. Put some cold water on your wrists or your face. Go outside and put your feet flat on the ground. Feet on real dirt is actually the best. I can hardly find dirt sometimes when I really need to ground. Slow regulating exhales are always your best bet. Your vagus nerve loves them. And then repair rituals. After a blow up, circle back to your child with calm curiosity. Hey, buddy, I got triggered earlier. I'm working on it. I'm sorry that I yelled and I said a mean thing. I'm very sorry for that. It was about me, not you. Let's try again. So modeling repair teaches them safety. Now, of course, you can't do that until you are regulated. And then finally, parallel healing. Get your own therapy. Join my Love Matters Parenting Society therapeutic parent program. Journal about your triggers, because the more you heal, the less your child's survival brain can hijack you. Now, you might have to get a housekeeper if midnight grout scrubbing was your former feelings distraction of choice. Oh, it wouldn't be bad to have a housekeeper, though. So yeah, do your own work and get a housekeeper so you don't have to actually clean the grout in the middle of the night. More actual sleeping is better. All right, parents, I want you to hear this. If your child's trauma behavior activates your oldest pain, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human, and you probably have some trauma work of your own to do. That's all. It's very rare for people to not have anything to work on from childhood. Our childhoods go with us across our lifespans. Healing is possible. In fact, parenting a child from difficult beginnings can become one of the greatest invitations to finally heal your own wounds. That's not punishment, it's purpose. I know that if I hadn't adopted my children, I absolutely would not be the person I am today. I am such a better person because of them. I learned about myself. I healed a lot of my early childhood wounding, and I grew myself up into the parent I wanted to be and the one that was best for my children. Because when you stay grounded, When you keep showing up in love, even when your child's trauma tries to provoke your oldest pain, that's where generational healing happens. For them, for you, for the family tree you're propagating right now. You are doing brave, beautiful work. Keep going. And remember, you matter and your love matters when more than love is required. That's it for me today, folks. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next episode of Unmuted Love.